Hello, Mikkel. You don't know me, but it's about time that you did. My name is Laverian. I am your father. I am so sorry that I never got to know you while you were alive. To make matters worse, I never sought you out in the afterlife either. I have a good reason for that, at least it seems like a good reason to me. Please, hear me out. I have a story to tell you. In that long ago land, in that long ago time, I was an acolyte in the temple of Eritrea, the goddess of unreality. I was born into this life, and it was, for the most part, a happy life. Once I became an adult, it was decided that I would take over the night shift and let the woman running that shift retire. During the day, the acolytes tended the temple and kept Eritrea's flame burning, as well as ministering to the worshippers who came in. During the night, the only duties were to keep the flame alight and tend to any seekers who might show up. It was rare that a seeker would arrive at night, but it did happen, so we kept a night shift for that reason. It was a lonely task, but I loved my goddess, and I accepted the night position. One day, a woman visited the temple at night. Her name was Ella, named after our goddess. She had many questions, mostly about the temple, my family, and my duties. How I wound up working the nights. She returned the next night to ask more questions. Soon she was returning every night and staying longer and longer. We shared meals and told personal stories, and then the visits became intimate. I asked her then if she would come to live with me at the temple. She said she could not, that her duties during the day prevented her from doing so, but that she would return to me every night regardless. This satisfied me. We lived this way for years, with her returning to the temple every night to be with me. I got into the habit of waking early to keep watch until she arrived. She was the greatest love I have ever experienced in any life, and I've had many since then. But in my 26th year, tragedy struck. I was waiting at the entrance, and my love came into view. I smiled and raised my hand to wave and watched as she did the same. Then I heard it, the thunder of hooves. A party of slavers with their banners flying to indicate who they were thundered up the road, snatched up the love of my life, and disappeared into the distance as I ran, screaming, behind them. Eventually I slowed, then stopped, realizing how futile it was for me to continue. I made my way back to the temple, sobbing, raging, terrified. I went to my mother's chambers and roused her. I told her everything, the woman visiting me at night, for years, our love, her kidnapping. She got the oddest look on her face, and then darted out of her chambers. She woke the rest of the family, gave them a quick version of my story, then had each and every one of them bid me farewell. Then she gave me our best horse and packs of provisions and told me to go rescue my love. I never saw them again. I immediately set out to find her, not even waiting for the sun to rise. I followed in the direction they were traveling, though I knew I was already hours behind. I figured that they would have to stop to rest or eat or something, and it might let me catch up. The first village I came across, I stopped in the square and shouted over and over until someone woke up and answered me. I asked if anyone had seen the slavers this night. The man who had responded had not, but a little girl from another home said that she had seen them heading east. I thanked the people and apologized for waking them, then took off again, going east. The scenario repeated itself twice before the sun rose. Then I just rode into town and asked before moving on again. By this time, I was the farthest away from the temple that I had ever been in my life, and people looked at me strangely, although they continued to answer me. And then the inevitable happened. I had been awake and on the move for more than a day, running on adrenaline, not eating, not resting. I crashed. I fell right off my horse, unconscious. The horse, being of a good and tame breed, came back and stood near my near-comatose body. An old man happened to pass by and saw me. He had been in the last village I had gone through, and he knew the gist of my predicament. He fashioned a sled, attached it to my horse, then hauled my body onto it. He took me to his home, a little stone hut outside of the village. He kept an eye on me, dribbling broth into my mouth to keep me hydrated. When I eventually awoke, 2 days had passed. The old man explained what he had done for me and how long I was out. I hung my head, knowing I was now too far behind to catch up with the slavers and my love. I thanked the old man for his kindness, then left him some coin to repay him for his efforts. Then I saddled up and continued following the long, cold trail of the slavers. Months passed. The stories from villagers were weeks old, but I still followed the path of the slavers as best I could. It had been nearly a year when I came across the town of Tarvin. As I began to ask around about my missing love, it became clear that the people here had seen her. They seemed to hold her in disdain, though, which angered me. Finally, in the marketplace of the town, I met a woman who knew what had happened. The slavers had abandoned my love on the streets of Tarvin, alone, with no money or provisions. She had been homeless and seemed to be in a state of confusion all the time. Many of the townspeople, not knowing she'd been left by the slavers, assumed she was a prostitute, because she was very, very pregnant. The woman did not know what had happened to my love. However, the woman in the next stall did. She told me that my love had given birth to my child on the streets. No one would help her because they deemed her unworthy, the bastards. And so she died with you, my son, clutched in her arms. The second woman knew that a farming family that had come to town for market had found you and taken you in. I tracked them down. You were an infant, sleeping peacefully. I longed to hold you, but feared that in my rage I might harm you somehow. Your adoptive parents offered to let me have you, reluctantly, but I declined. I told them that I might return one day to be a part of your life, but I would never break the bond they had with you. I also told them that I was going to hunt down the slavers for what they did. I was obsessed. Your parents understood, I think, that I would never return, and so I left you there with them. I knew they would be good to you. I never actually caught up with those slavers. I don't know what I would have done if I had. I was no warrior, no fighter. I was just a temple acolyte. As luck or fate would have it, that particular group of slavers got caught in a flash flood and were wiped right off this plane of existence. I learned of this about 3 years after I left Tarvin. In the village where I learned this, I stopped and stayed. I became the village drunk, but no one minded as I provided them with song. I sang for my supper in the local inn and drank the rest of the time. I died of alcohol poisoning when I was 32. Upon reaching the afterlife and getting oriented, I set out to look for the woman I had loved. She was nowhere. She wasn't in any records. No one could find her. It was as if she never existed. Once it was clear I would not find her in the afterlife, I signed up for reincarnation. I asked for special consideration due to the anomaly of being unable to find her in the afterlife. I was granted this consideration and given the ability to remember her in my new life. The memories would kick in gradually in adulthood. I spent my reincarnated life scouring Gaia for my love to no avail. I repeated this cycle over and over and over again throughout the centuries, never stopping, not even to check on you, although I knew you would have been in the afterlife long since. But now I have learned something impossible, although you may be able to solve this mystery. My Ella, my one true love, she was not named after the goddess of unreality. She was the goddess of unreality. She was Elatrea herself, and she has been missing for millennia. You may ask why I bring this to you now, after ignoring you all this time. I am sorry for that, by the way. I became obsessed. I don't know why. Maybe one day you and I can attempt a reconciliation. I don't know if you would even care to, Mikkel, but I am willing. As for your mother, Elatrea, I have learned that you are the founder of the Karmafia. I am hoping that your organization has resources that I as a normal human soul never had. I am hoping that you will be able to locate your mother. I am hoping that I will be able to rest. My soul is exhausted. Maybe you can help me have peace. I know you don't owe me that, but I hope nonetheless. I have included my shadow code at the bottom of this letter, so that if you choose to, you can contact me. Be well, my son. Your father, Lavarian.
So, Barb, how are you liking your lunch? No, actually, it's not that bad. I mean, I expected worse. Sorry. Angel, what's wrong?
Oh, this is perfect. You're both here. I really need to talk to you both. Sputnik found a letter taped to my office door. It was addressed to me as I was in my last life. And apparently, the letter is from my father.
Oh my gods, really? Who is he?
He says his name is Laverian. It's a long story, but the reason I never found him, or my mother, in the afterlife is that she died right after I was born, but her soul never appeared in the afterlife. So when he died, he kept being reincarnated, trying to find her. And get this, he says my mother is a goddess named Elatrea.
Where have I heard that name before? Yeah, the Elkalor. They were asking about her.
Exactly. This whole thing is wild.
So are you going to get in touch with your father then?
I don't know. I'm conflicted. But he left me his shadow code if I want to find him. The reason he contacted me was because he learned that I founded the Karmafia and he's hoping that we can find her.
Well, what do you know about her? I mean, we need some kind of information to go on.
I know. Right now, all I know about her is her name and that she's the goddess of unreality.
I mean, I can help. I can check old records and see if I can learn anything about her. I mean, surely she's in the history books of this place somewhere.
Thanks, sis. I appreciate both of you. Hey, Sputnik, did you check the security cameras outside the office like I asked?
Yeah, boss, I did. Unfortunately, all you can see is the back of this guy. He never even turns his head while he's on camera, and he's wearing a hat, so you can't even see his hair color. Do you want me to look up his shadow code?
Not yet. I want to go into this without any preconceived ideas about him. I don't want any confirmation bias entering into it. I need to make up my mind about him without outside influence.
That makes sense. So what do we do now?
Well, right now Barb is researching Elatrea to see what's known about her. Babs plans to help later, but she's got that last therapy session today. She'll be in the halls of psyche getting fully cleared for active duty. We didn't have much time to worry about it while we were dealing with Wolfric's mess, so she's getting the official paperwork done. Anyway, I'm thinking I'll ask around with the Elkalor, see if they can tell me anything about her that will help us find her.
That seems reasonable. What should I do while you're doing that?
Just hold down the fort, and if Mama Mayhem needs anything, help her out. She's still struggling with her memories, being all jumbled up with all those extra memories that don't belong to her.
On it, boss.
Hey, Ella. I brought you a gift. See, it's a really pretty seashell. I thought you might like it. You're always drawing beautiful beach scenery.
I do love a pretty snake.
What the hell is she saying, my Naga self? What's the deal with Ella? Babs, we honestly don't know. She's been here for a millennia. She seems to be lost in her own head, but nothing we've ever done has been able to help her come back. But she does seem to really like you, though. I mean, she hasn't spoken to anyone other than speak her own name for at least 100 years. But she just spoke to you. And she always seems to brighten up a little when you come in. Maybe you could just go talk to her, maybe tell her a story or something. I mean, I can give it a try. Hey, Ella. Oh, I like your beach scene. The seaweed you've drawn there is well, almost the color of honey. And that reminds me, when I was alive, my brother used to dribble the honey from the honey cakes that my mother would make into my mouth. Which, now we know that you should never give a honey to a baby, but... Oh. Damn, I think she's lost again. Maybe I'll try another time, I guess.
Baby,
Well, the talk with the Elkalor didn't help. They didn't know much more about her than we already did, and none of it was helpful, to be honest.
Sadly, I didn't find much either in the records and archives. She was the goddess of unreality, and she used to spend a lot of time in Gaia interacting with her acolytes. By all accounts, she was kind and generous. There was one footnote that gave me pause, though. It stated that she struggled with madness. So she would choose one of her acolytes and anchor herself to them, which would help her stay in reality.
That's kind of sad. But at least she had a solution for her problem. I wonder if my father became her anchor when they fell in love. It would make sense. Well, I'm sure we'll find the right piece of information that will lead us to her. Babs, how did the last session in the Hall of Psyche go? Did you get your clearance paperwork?
I did. And I guess I'm considered healthy as can be after that incident with the parasite. The doc thinks I've got the correct coping mechanisms if anything should ever resurface. Something odd happened, though. There's this one lady, and she's apparently been there for so long no one remembers how she came. But she's lost in her own mind. Like, the nurse told me today that she responds when I talk to her, but I tried talking and telling her a story from when I was a baby, but it seemed like it set her off. I had no idea the word baby would be a trigger for her.
That's such a tragedy. I guess there isn't much they can do for her, huh?
No. The nurse said that they've tried everything throughout the centuries and nothing's been, they can't help Ella.
What did you call her?
Yes, I'll hold. They're getting the nurse. Hey, Naya, I need to ask you something. It's gonna seem odd, but please bear with me. Can you track down Ella for me? No, that's not the odd thing, but I need her to be able to hear my voice. Okay. She's going to Ella's room. Oh, you there? Okay. Can she hear me? Okay, great. Elatrea? Can you hear me? Whoa. Calm down, Naya. It's okay. I think we know exactly who she is. Hang tight, we're coming. Dear brother, I do believe we just found your mother. She's over here.
Hi. Elatrea? Hi. I'm your son, Mikkel. Although I go by Angel now. I've been looking for you for a long time.
Son? My son? My baby. Oh, my baby.
Hi, Mom.
Where is she? Where's my wife? Elatrea! Oh my God, I've been so lost without you.
Oh, my sweet man. I was literally lost without you to anchor me to reality. I can think again, clearly. And here is my son as well. Oh, happy day.
I told you she was here, Lavarian. Now, you guys get caught up. I'll be around. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Angel, my darling. Come on in. Babs is already here, and she brought Barb with her. It's like having twins. Barb tells me that we were her parents in that other universe, so it only seems fitting to have her here. Come on, let's get you a drink.
Here. Now we have 2 daughters and a son. It's wonderful to have a house full again.
Yeah. So, guess what?
What is it, darling?
I met my birth parents.
Oh, really? Then you must sit down and tell us all about it. And if they aren't nice to you, they'll answer to me.
Thanks, Dad.